Oh, good morning. How are you doing? I don't have a cup of tea or a cup of coffee this morning. I do have a bottle of water because I'm in my car. But feel free to grab a cup of tea, grab a coffee, and let's chat about large numbers. This week's photo is of a car, a Tesla, charging outside the Maria Cristina Hotel in San Sebastian 8 years ago. At the time, I took the photograph because it was very unusual to see Teslas in Spain. Nowadays, they are much more common. Electric cars in general are a large percentage of new car sales. The EV revolution has begun. Tesla has been a big part of that revolution, and Elon Musk, the CEO of Tesla, has recently agreed a new deal with shareholders whereby in approximately 8 years' time, he could become the world's first trillionaire. Will Tesla pay him $1 trillion in cash? Well, that's not the case, no. It's going to be in shares and share options and things like that. It's all a bit complicated. And 12 different goals have to be achieved before he'll see any of that. But the headlines in the media were, Elon Musk will get $1 trillion from Tesla. And this leads us to the question, what is a trillion? $1 trillion is an incredible, unbelievable amount of money. But un trillón de dólares is even more incredible, because if you say un trillón de dólares in Spanish, you're actually saying in English a quintillion or quintillion. I don't even know how to say that word. It's so unbelievably large. This is because in English we use the short scale number system, whereas we have a million, and then an extra 1,000 million is a billion, and 1,000 billion is a trillion, and 1,000 trillion is a quadrillion. But in Spanish, we have the long scale system, which means that you have to count in millions, not thousands. So 1,000 million is 1,000 million. But a million is a billón. 1,000 billion is 1,000 billion, and a million billion is a trillón. Got it? Understand? It's all very confusing and, importantly, not that easy to translate. So when we're reading headlines in the newspapers, we need to be very, very careful about how we translate large numbers. Let's find out more.
Understanding big numbers in English and Spanish. Things can become confusing when we talk about extremely large numbers, especially when we switch between languages. Recently, Elon Musk and the company he leads, Tesla, reached a shareholder deal involving billions and even trillions of dollars. That deal gives us a helpful way to introduce how English and Spanish count large numbers, and why you may read $1 trillion deal in English and wonder how that translates into Spanish. 2 counting systems. In English, we generally use the short scale. In Spanish, however, many countries traditionally use the long scale. In the short scale, after a million, every new term means 1,000 times bigger. Million, billion, trillion, quadrillion. In contrast, in the long scale, every new term means 1 million times bigger. Millón, billón, trillón. To set them side by side, in English, 1 billion means 1,000 million. In Spanish, the direct equivalent is 1,000 millones. But when a Spanish text reads un billón, it means 1 million million, which corresponds to the English trillion. So when you read $1 trillion deal in English, you must check what it means in Spanish. If someone lazily translates it as un trillón de dólares, you'd be making it 1,000,000 times larger, a staggering error. Always check the number system. Why the difference? The long scale has deep European roots. Countries such as France and Spain historically used it. It made sense for mathematicians who liked powers of 1,000,000. But in the United States and other English-speaking places, the short scale gained traction, powers of 1,000 rather than 1,000,000. Over time, English language media and international finance helped propagate the short scale globally. In Spanish-speaking countries, many still use the long scale, though sometimes finance and international reporting mix both. That's why confusion happens. A real-world example, the Musk-Tesla deal. Here's a real-life case. Tesla's shareholders recently approved a compensation plan for Elon Musk that could reach US $1 trillion if all performance goals are met. If you translate that into Spanish using the long scale system, $1 billón is the correct expression. But if someone mistranslates it as $1 trillón, the result becomes 1,000,000 times larger, an enormous misreading. What are the actual goals that need to be met for the deal to become fully activated? First, Tesla must grow its market capitalization from roughly US $1 trillion today to about 8.5 trillion over the coming decade. Second, the deal is structured in 12 tranches, each hinging on a combination of financial, operational, and product launch milestones. For example, reaching a market value milestone of $2 trillion, then $3 trillion, and ultimately $8.5 trillion. Additionally, Tesla must deliver 20 million vehicles annually, deploy 1 million robotaxis, and manufacture 1 million humanoid robots, the so-called Optimus robots, to trigger the full award. Musk must also remain in his role for at least 7.5 years, and a long-term succession plan must be in place if the entire package is to come to fruition. What does this mean in practice? If the performance conditions are fully met, Musk could be awarded stock options or restricted stock worth up to $1 trillion, an amount that would make him the world's first trillionaire. But importantly, this sum is not guaranteed. Only if Tesla hits the prescribed milestones will the newspaper headlines become true. Review and takeaway. English uses the short scale. Each new term is 1,000 times larger, whereas Spanish traditionally uses the long scale. That's why an English trillion equals un billón in Spanish, not un trillón. This difference really matters when enormous sums like the Tesla-Musk deal are reported. Next time you see billion, trillion, or their Spanish equivalents, make sure you check the number system and the translation carefully. Chat about these questions and write down your opinions and ideas. 1. Would you consider buying a car from Tesla? If so, why? If not, why not? 2. Which number system do you normally use when thinking of large numbers in your first language? 3. Should we standardize number systems across all languages? If so, why and which one? If not, why not? 4. What are your opinions about companies such as Tesla making long-term plans to produce millions of humanoid robots and autonomous vehicles? 5. What are the risks when individuals hold so much power over companies and so much wealth?